those writing that he did, those publications, out of 12 of them he was having, actually helped him to shape who he became and actually shape the kind of Nigeria he wanted to see.
Mm.
Now, what happened to those publications, to those newspapers? What happened to them? How did they disappear?
Well, the government, of course, shut down most of the papers. And I think up until the time when he became a politician, at the time he became a politician, most of the newspapers were really not there anymore. Because like I suggested earlier, I'm sure at some point they must have thought to themselves, let's give this guy a piece of the cake so he can shut up and just let us do whatever it is we were doing. And they were quite strategic at this because then I at some point, they set traps for him. So the kind of stuff Zeke did was if there was, he was single-handedly like an opposition to the government. So if workers were going to have a strike, Zeke was going to support the strike with everything that he had. And whatever information that makes the striking workers look good, Zeke is going to publish it. He's going to put it out there for thousands of readers to see. And the government didn't like that. So they controlled the court. Every now and then they would go to courts and they would get the courts to ban something he wrote. And I think even at some point they got a conviction against him and they were going to throw him in jail for 6 months. But he appealed and he won. So it was always it was always a fight. And that's why he had as many as 12 newspapers. Because then sometimes he would create a newspaper and he won't write in his name. But then when they read the writing and they see the strength of the language, they would know who's behind it. But the with the speed with which they attacked his establishments, he kind of like doubled down and created new ones. But I figured that when he got into government, he realized that the fight was over. Of course, like when Nigeria got her independence, he must have realized that okay, now mission accomplished. We have a country to run, and he stopped playing opposition. Of course, like who's he going to oppose himself? He kind of just stopped writing and went on to be ceremonial president till they got overthrown in 1966.
All right, I'm still thinking here that somebody ignored a huge power. Was it not possible to have transformed those powerhouses into something that would live? Anyway, I understand that we're like a protracted fruit that was not allowed to mature. It didn't mature. It's not dead. It's not alive. We are just in limbo, and it's quite unfortunate because if all those publications are there, I
Mm,
believe that as a Nigerian, as a citizen of Nigeria, I should be able
mm,
to listen to every statement that was made by every president of Nigeria from the day of independence. All of them should be accessible to me to be able to know where I am coming from. As a minimum, my government should have been able to make sure this is available. One time, I went to the Nigeria archive to find information, of course, the one that is online. I don't know if I even see any single thing. I didn't see any single thing I was looking. It looked like, like I said before, it looked like a shamble. Because with those 12 publications, if they have been alive today, all these things that I didn't say that, I said I didn't say that, if it is evident, you can see it there, then we don't need to argue about it.
well, that's actually the same worry that I have because the the fact that at our level of education we struggle to find information, like we still don't have history in Nigerian schools. And there is this Malawian who's a comedian in the UK. I was watching one of his stand-up acts, and he talks about when British people say, why did you leave your country? Why did you come here? And he will say to them that growing up in Malawi, they studied the British history. They learned all about Queen Victoria and about all the British stuff. They didn't learn anything about Malawi, and it was like, so where did you think I would go eventually? So, and that's also is what's happening today. You look at the migration rates. A lot of my friends, most of my friends are either in the UK or in Canada. Well, I guess there are more people in the UK than anywhere else, but that's our natural home. That's what we were created to migrate to the UK. We're not created to stay in Nigeria. There is nothing in this place that suggests that we are prepared, we're empowered to remain in Nigeria for the long run. It's Nigeria is designed to look like we were always going to leave and go to Europe at some point in our lives and settle down there, because the environment we have here does not support life for the regular Nigerian person. So the government we have, I've had people say, "Yeah, but the government does not care," and I'm like, I used to say that, but then I realized that we don't have a government. What we have is the British government that runs this place as a shop where they come in, pick whatever they need, and go away. So this place was never really designed to be like habitable. Because I think what they did was, when independence happened, the colonialists kind of swore to themselves that if we can't live in Nigeria, then no one else can. So they would sponsor crisis. They would uh, take all the resources. Because then you look at Nigeria's oil. Who controls Nigeria's oil? Britain. It's all British companies, and then maybe one or two French or from somewhere else. But then mostly European companies control virtually every mining activity happening in Nigeria. There are no indigenous companies or organizations or people who run any form of mining on not just only in Nigeria, but on this continent. The role we play is as workers. We go, we work, we protest, they shoot the protesters, and then they make life more unbearable so that more persons become so poor that they come back to keep working in the mines, and then you work till you drop. So for Nigerians who eventually want to have a better life, at some point they'll have to leave Nigeria and go exist elsewhere. And that's why we don't learn history. That's why, I mean, like, look at the elections we just had. Who's going to write that textbook that is going to explain how Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged the winner of the 2023 presidential election? And what will that document say about him? Are we going to write this history? Are we going to put it out there for the next generation of Nigerians to study? And this, I think, is one of the biggest arguments that I fail to make when I hear people supporting candidates. Like here in Enugu, we have certain candidates that are running for the office of the governor, and then someone used to be a minister between 2003 and 2007, and people say, oh, he's such a great candidate, and I'm like, yeah, a lot of people who say that are too young to have known what was happening in Nigeria in 2003 and 2007, and there is no record of his work. It's just hearsay. He's going to say, oh, when I was minister, I did this, I did that, but there is no evidence to that. Some of us who were old enough saw him in the same light as we see Lai Mohammed today. He was just a bloody liar who lied about everything and covered up for the government when the government misbehaved. But today he's claiming he's a saint, claiming he performed magic and wonders when he became minister for communication and all that stuff.